हेलो दोस्तों, तो आज हम आ गया है चौरस में। आज चौरस में है प्रोग्राम, बट आई डोंट नो कि क्या है, बट वो साइंटिस्ट को ही आने वाले हैं। तो वही साइंटिस्ट को आज हम प्रोग्राम में देखने आए हैं, और क्या बताते हैं क्या दिखाते हैं वो मैं सारा इस ब्लॉग में डाल दूँगा, सारा सारा, क्योंकि वो बहुत अच्छे साइंटिस्ट हैं। चलो, मैं पहुंच चुका हूँ यहाँ पे, और मैं आपको अपने ब्लॉग में दिखाऊंगा उनका क्या क्या उन्होंने बोला। ये रहा ऑडिटोरियम, स्वामी मानाथन ऑडिटोरियम। यहीं पे जाएंगे अंदर में और बैठेंगे, थोड़ा देखेंगे क्या बातचीत हो रही है। ओए होए, इंडियन प्लानिटरी ईयर्स ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ जियोलॉजी। ये रहा ऑडिटोरियम, भाई साहब तगड़ा। ओ भाई साहब, गाइस हम पहुंच चुके हैं गाइस, और आप देख सकते हैं यहाँ पे भैया लोग बैठे हुए हैं, और उधर टुई करके आवाज़ आ रहा है। प्रोग्राम का पूरा व्यवस्था चल रहा है। ये हमारे फिजिक्स के प्रोफेसर सर हैं जो कोर्ट में हैं, देख सकते हैं। आपको मैं ये जूम कर देता हूँ, ये सर भाई साहब बहुत स्ट्रिक्ट हैं, बहुत अच्छे भी हैं, बहुत अच्छा पढ़ाते भी हैं। बीएससी में है वो, बीएससी में पढ़ाते हैं। देख सकते हैं आप, शायद वही हैं प्रोफेसर साहब। उनके ऊपर फोकस हो रहा है कैमरा का। ओ भाई ऑडिटोरियम में बैठा हुआ है, मज़ा आ रहा है भाई, अमीर लग रहा है भाई, अमीर तगड़ा फिट यार ये।
हमने भी नया फोन लिया, पूछ रहे थे ना।
Guest Prof Anil bharadwaj is the director PRL, and yes, thank you. And without going any much formalities, I first of all
अरे अरे अरे, दोनों कैमरा में घुस।
शुरू करें, प्लीज वेलकम। Namaskar.
नमस्कार सर।
So good morning to all of you.
गुड मॉर्निंग सर।
Respected Prof Anil bharadwaj ji, Prof MPS ji, Head of the Department, my colleague, non-teaching staff, and dear students. It is my privilege to bring PRL Ahmedabad. He has worked in NASA Marshall Space Flight Center, USA, for about 2 years as National Academy of Science (NRC) Senior Research Associate during 2004 and 2005. Professor Bharadwaj initiated the research in planetary science in SPL and contributed to the development of planetary science programs at Isro Department of Space and planning of planetary missions in India. He was the principal investigator of SARA experiment on the first Indian lunar mission, Chandrayaan first, which has revolutionized our understanding on the interaction of solar wind with the moon through several new findings. He was the PI of Menka experiment on the Indian Mars orbiter mission, which is known as also the MOM also. He and his team have PI-led experiment on Chandrayaan 2 orbiter and Chandrayaan 3 lander and rover mission as well as solar mission Aditya L1. तो जब चंद्रयान गया था तो सभी जो है रोवर और लैंडर की बात कर रहे थे. आई थिंक ही इज वन ऑफ द पर्सनालिटी हु डिड द बेसिक एक्सपेरिमेंट.
ओ तेरा के गजब।
Dr. Bharadwaj has published more than 220 peer-reviewed research papers in international and national journals and chapters in books and supervised several PhD, MTech, MPhil, MSc, BTech students and PDS. Professor Bharadwaj is an elected fellow of all three National Science Academies, in India and many other academic and societies, and has received the most coveted science award, Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize in 2007. In 16, he is also a recipient of Insa Banu Bapu Memorial International Award in 2016. Decennial Award of Indian Geophysical Union in 2017,
ओ भाई
J.C. Bose National Fellowship 2019,
अबे
Professor N.J.K. Menon Lecture Award of NASI
सर के
2021,
चेहरे पे स्माइल देख
AUTS
सकते हो आप,
Fellowship and INSA
कितने प्राइज
Lectureship
जीत
Fellowship
चुके हैं
in
ये,
2023,
माय गॉड
and in
तगड़ा।
2024 he has received coveted Vikram Sarabhai Medal of Cosper and the International Academy of Astronomy Basic Science Section Award. So these are some of the few awards only which I have listed here. So he is alumni awardee of IIT BHU in 2015
ओ
and
भाई
Lucknow University in 2022. उन यूनिवर्सिटी ने भी उनका अवार्ड किया है जहाँ से उन्होंने अपना एमएससी किया और जहाँ से पीएचडी किया. So both have awarded him as alumni in 2015 and 2022. Professor Bharadwaj was revered by Isro in 2017 with highest in-service award, the Outstanding Achievement Award. So he actively engaged in public outreach activities and has Okay, I think this is working well. So good morning and thanks to Prof Anil for introducing me, Professor Best, Dr. Shukla and all the faculties of this wonderful university and the wonderful campus. This is my first visit to this university and I really appreciate the work which is being carried out in this university in different departments and different schools. And as Professor Best was mentioning that Department of Geology is celebrating its 50 years and I congratulate the department and the university for this work that they have carried out over the last 5 decades. And probably I am the first speaker of this ceremonious occasion of Golden Jubilee of this department. So thanks and compliments to the department and thanks for inviting me to this wonderful campus. Well, I'm going to talk to you on Indian planetary missions. As you can see, ये थोड़ा लाइट्स आप अगर ऑफ कर दें यहाँ का पूरा ये वाला भी तो स्क्रीन तो बहुत अच्छा दिखाई देगा. ये पूरा आप लाइट्स ऑफ कर दीजिए, ऐसा लगे जैसे थिएटर में बैठे हुए हैं, so that you will enjoy the pictures and the movies. ये वाला लाइट भी ऑफ कर दो, वाइट जो खाली पीछे की लाइट जलने देना, हाँ उधर का जलने दो, पीछे का ये वाला चाहिए ऑफ, ये वाइट, ये वाली ऊपर वाली, because you can actually enjoy better. There are no equations, okay, so I'm not going to talk any mathematics.
अब तगड़ा रहा है भाई साहब.
Okay, I'm going to talk more on pictures as well as on movies. Okay, तो अभी थिएटर हो गया, सोइएगा नहीं है.
सर का तो चेहरा ही ढक गया यार.
As you know, I come from the Department of Space, and Department of Space starts with the Physical Science Laboratory, which is also called as Cradle of Space Science in India. So whether you talk about the ballooning program, the rocketry program, the satellite program, or the application program, everything is started from PRL, and that's why PRL is called as the Cradle of Space Research in India. The first rocket launch, which took place in the year 1963 from the coast of Thumba in Trivandrum, carried experiment developed in PRL. So PRL has been actually the leaders in terms of sending instruments in space for doing fundamental science. And if you look at this logo of PRL, which you will be seeing very often over here, what does it communicate? This is the symbol of the sun with the circle and dot. This with the cross in the center is the symbol of the earth.
And then you have two lines connecting them and then a big circle. And if you translate this into what it means PRL research encompasses the earth, the sun, emerge in the fields and addition, reaching from and to infinity all that man's curiosity and intellect can reveal. So essentially the research in PRL encompasses from the core of the earth to almost the end of the universe. And in the bottom you are seeing the two campuses of PRL in Ahmedabad, the main campus and the Thalridge campus. This is about 5 kilometers away, like you have the scattered campuses of this university. But we also have a campus in Udaipur called Udaipur Solar Observatory, which is in the middle of the lake. You see this Fateh Sagar Lake, and this is the observatory in the middle of the Fateh Sagar Lake. And then we have a campus in Mount Abu as an observatory. Now, when you talk about what PRL has contributed, I don't know whether you may recognize Professor U.R. Rao. I don't know how many of you know Professor U.R. Rao. Anybody in the audience? Very few, right? He is called the father of satellite in India. He started the satellite program in the country. He was working with Professor Sarabhai in PRL, and then Professor Sarabhai said, you have to go to Bangalore to start the satellite program. Like Dr. Kalam was sent to start the rocketry program in Thumba. Dr. Kasturirangan, I hope some of you may be recognizing him. He is the one who started the new education policy, but he has been alumni of PRL and significant amount of protons getting converted to neutral hydrogen and coming out. And that was actually a discovery. Nobody was expecting that there will be a scattering of protons and reflection of it in form of neutral hydrogen. We also looked at understanding the ionosphere on the moon. The moon doesn't have atmosphere, but still there was conjecture that moon could have ionosphere. So we used the Deep Space Network of India, which is a 32-meter antenna in Belalu, very close to Bangalore, to log the oscillator of the spacecraft and to send the signal back so that we can understand the ionosphere. And we suggested that yes, it could have ionosphere very close to the surface of few hundred particles per cc. Now let me talk about the Mangalyaan, the Mars orbiter mission. And this was a mission which was also a very important mission from India, because India was going for the first time. The mission was launched on 5th of November 2023 with the PSLV. It was the 25th successful launch of the PSLV. And after 10 months of travel, we reached the Mars on 24th of September 2014. And we got inserted into orbit in the first attempt, which made India the only country in the world to have the successful insertion of an orbiter around the Mars in the first attempt. This mission was planned for a lifetime of 6 months, but it lasted for more than 8 years. And therefore there is a lot of data which has come out from this Mars orbiter mission. It had 5 experiments on board with a total mass of 13 kgs, whereas the total spacecraft mass is 1300 kgs. So most of the mass of the spacecraft is what? Propellant, fuel, which has to carry to function. And I was directly involved with this instrument called MENCA on the Mars orbiter mission, which is basically an instrument to study the atmosphere or exosphere of Mars. You see here the 5 experiments, the lab, MCC, NSM, TIS and MENCA. So these are all imaging payloads to look at the Mars, and therefore they are sitting on the one side of the spacecraft. Whereas MENCA is mounted and it's directional to the plus roll axis, which is basically the velocity vector of the spacecraft. This is what you see from various missions of Mangalyaan observations. This is a full disk of the Mars. There are many such observations which is providing us a lot of new information about how the Mars season changes. You can see the north and the south. There's a little bit of ice, but season changes, you see more ice, because Mars orbit is more tilt and more elliptical compared to that of the Earth. So Mars also has season like winter and summer, but being in a highly elliptical orbit, they are much more dramatic. You see different RGB colors of Mars, and one can actually get information on the surface or of the atmosphere if you look at different color combinations of the MCC. You see the polar regions very clearly, ice deposits are seen, or Or you can also see phobos and deimos. This was the first observation of its kind because of more elliptical orbit of the Mangalyaan, the Mars orbiter mission. You could map the two natural satellites of the Mars, the phobos and deimos. Or you can see this Valles of Marineris, which is now completely filled with dust and clouds. You see the clouds and shadow over here. But in different seasons, you see Valles of Marineris is very clear. So Mars is much more dramatic in terms of its seasons, and therefore there are storms, and there are local storms and global storms, which covers almost like half of the Mars. Or you can see these valleys. This is the Mangala Valley, which shows very clear channels. That means some fluid has flown in the past, which gives evidences of water flow in the past, when we thought that Mars was much more dramatic in terms of its activities. It was hot and wet. Currently it is dry and cold. Or geologically, mountain, leeward side of the mountain producing clouds, as it is happening in the case of Earth. You see this mons or mountains, where you see the clouds getting formed on the leeward side. We also have a lot of information about the craters, and this is one of those as a part of the Valles of Marineris, which is probably the youngest and the largest collapse structures in the Valles of Marineris. Actually, Valles of Marineris is a big canyon. It is much bigger than the Grand Canyon of planet Earth, and it is probably the biggest canyon in the solar system. Science results from MENCA, which also has told us that the CO2 dominant atmosphere, which is the dominant gas on the Mars, get converted into oxygen dominant atmosphere, which is happening somewhere around 250-260 kilometers above the surface. And that was also a very new result, that in the evening side of the Mars, this transition is happening somewhere around 30 to 40 kilometers above the surface compared to that in the equator. And that has a lot of
Here we have a majestic liftoff of LVM-3 M4 rocket carrying India's prestigious Chandrayaan-3 spacecraft.
We are all in the mission control. We go out to see the launch, but actually you can see the vibrations in the mission control, which is about 5 kilometers from the launch pad. There are little clouds. You see here, LVM-3. This is the heaviest lift-off vehicle, which you call it as a Bahubali.
भाई मजा आ गया भाई.
Senior professor and the vice chancellor in charge, please come on the dais. कहते हैं ना कि शिक्षक ने अगर कुछ प्रवचन दिया है और बच्चों ने उस ज्ञान को ग्रहण किया है, तो there must be some question arises in your mind. So I'll invite to all of you, please ask to that. Or if you are a PhD in any discipline which is required by ISRO, there's a separate portal for that, where you can directly apply into that portal since you have a PhD in this. So people from all walks of life actually is involved when we talk about the space missions of the country. And now people from food technology, space medicine, space, because once the human goes into space, what is eats, right? So you need people of background who are doing to food technology. ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं, लेकिन एक छोटा सा भेंट आपको देना चाहते हैं अपने विभाग की ओर से। पवार साहब हमारे बीच में हैं, सीनियर मोस्ट डीन साहब, प्लीज। छोटी सी भेंट आई। जो साइंस से रिलेटेड थे, तो शिक्षक तो
लोग मुझे नजर आ गए, लेकिन बच्चे कुछ कम नजर आए। आप लोग अपने आपस में डिस्कशन करिएगा, कम्युनिकेट करिएगा कि इफ यू आर हियर टू लर्न समथिंग प्लीज डू ज्वाइन सच ब्यूटीफुल प्रोग्राम्स, क्योंकि फ्यूचर में ऐसे बहुत सारे प्रोग्राम्स होंगे। आप बहुत दूर से आए हुए हैं ज्ञानार्जन के लिए, और अगर इस तरह की बात है, देखिए आपको ये वैज्ञानिक जो कि चंद्रयान के रोवर और उसके सामने बैठे हुए थे, वो आज आपके सामने बैठे हुए हैं, कितनी बड़ी बात है। तो ये भी एक फील करने वाली बात है। तो मैं तो खुद प्राउड फील कर रहा हूँ कि आज मैं ऐसे बहुत ही अपने राष्ट्र के उच्च श्रेणी के वैज्ञानिक के साथ अपने बैठा हूँ और आज उनको निमंत्रित किया। मेरा सौभाग्य है मेरे जीवन का कि इस तरह के वैज्ञानिकों को हम अपने जीवन में अपने उसमें बुलाते हैं और लोगों से परिचय कराते हैं। धन्यवाद मेरे सारे विभाग के जितने भी प्रोफेसर्स हैं साहिबान, जिनको मैंने निमंत्रित किया था। उसमें फिजिक्स है, केमिस्ट्री है, जियोलॉजी है, बॉटनी है, इलेक्ट्रिकल है, मैकेनिकल है, कंप्यूटर है, जियोलॉजी है, ज्योग्राफी है, रिमोट सेंसिंग, रूरल टेक्नोलॉजी, फॉरेस्ट्री एंड ऑल। और उन्होंने अपने बच्चों के लिए मैसेज डेफिनेटली कम्युनिकेट किया। और ठीक है, कुछ बच्चे हैं किसके एग्जाम हो रहे थे। आप ऐसा ना सोचिए कि हमारे घर में जो बैठे हुए हैं, जो अभी सोमनाथ जी वहां बैठे थे ना ऊपर, चेयरमैन ऑफ द इसरो, वो कभी इनके रूममेट हुआ करते थे, प्रोफेसर नारायण सिंह पवार। ही वॉज इन बैंगलोर एंड देन जब वो, अभी मैंने पिछली बार सुना था कि जब वो चेयरमैन बने तो उनका किसी दोस्त ने कहा है वो सोमनाथ जो तेरे कमरे में रहता था वो आज चेयरमैन हो गए। सी दिस सच ए ग्रैंड पर्सनैलिटी वी हैव, नारायण सिंह पवार जी, थैंक यू सो आज मिला, धन्यवाद। और मेरे विभाग के जितने बच्चे हैं, शोध छात्र हैं, स्टाफ है, जिन्होंने इस करिकुलम में मेरे साथ दिया है और आगे भी साथ देते रहेंगे, उनका भी तहे दिल से धन्यवाद। और मैं अपने शिक्षकों से गुजारिश करूंगा कि इसके बाद सभी लोग मेरे जियोलॉजी डिपार्टमेंट में आमंत्रित हैं। थोड़ा सा उनको मैं कुछ अपनी तरह से चाय पानी पिलाना चाहता हूँ इस उपलक्ष्य में, इस शुभ घड़ी में। ये थी हमारी एनआईटी की तरफ से भेंट हमारे गेस्ट स्पीकर की। एनआईटी स्टूडेंट के लिए क्या टॉप दिया था? ओके, गुड 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 गुड। और ये बैक में स्टोरी मुझे नहीं पता। आपने क्योंकि एनआईटी के लिए ऑनलाइन टॉक दिया था तो उसकी ऑनर ऐसे देश के महान वैज्ञानिक के हाथों से शुरू कराया, मुझे बड़ी खुशी है। थैंक यू सो मच, थैंक यू।
प्रोग्राम खत्म हो गया दोस्तों। चलो आज सब कुछ हो चुका है ख़त्म। बहुत बड़े साइंटिस्ट आए थे यार, बहुत बड़े साइंटिस्ट।